Hi everyone, it's Ardith, and today I have a couple of cards that show how you can use the same products and colors, but with a few quick changes, you can completely change your design to use for different occasions. I started with a couple of panels of white cardstock and a new-to-me tool. This is the We Are Memory Keeper stamp positioner, and it uses pegs rather than hinges to work. I also have this advanced pattern plate add-on piece, which is really great for stamping repeating images, a specific width apart. I'll tell you what I think about this tool as I use it to make these cards. I used the middle-sized stamp from the Painted Stripes stamp set, and I placed it right on one edge of the pattern plate so that I could stamp it right at the top of my paper. So right off, this gives a really nice impression. These flexible, rubbery kind of feet allow you to have the stamp over your cardstock to be sure you're happy with the positioning before you press it down. I used Samba ink here. I cleaned the stamp off and moved on to my next color, Coral Cabana. I'm using a mix of pinks, reds, oranges, and yellows for these two cards. I put the pattern plate over top of where I previously stamped, and then I moved it down one peg before pressing down on the coral ink. This is where I think this tool really shines. Notice I didn't move the cardstock, so the measurement between the pegs is always exactly the same, and my stripes will be evenly placed down the panel every single time. Sometimes when I use a MISTI for this type of thing, user error, which means I don't move the cardstock the exact measurement, means that I end up with slight imprecision. On the other hand, you can only move the stamp by the width of a peg. See what I mean? If you want something less than an inch apart, you need to move the cardstock. Anyway, I was good since I did want it an inch apart, and I moved through all my colors. It's a Girl, Bellini, Sauna, and then back to red. And this is the first one of my tips. Because I have two red stripes here, I'm going to make this my Christmas themed card. Before I stamp the next panel, I tried cleaning this little pad. This pad gives some cushioning for stamping, and while it did finally clean up, I didn't find it as easy as cleaning my MISTI mouse pad. And then I realized I really wasn't going to be able to dry it quickly, so I just removed it and I didn't even use it for my second panel. And honestly, I didn't really notice a big difference with or without the pad. I think that would just be a personal preference thing. You can see that the grid is molded right into the base, so you can still use it for measuring and placement. So now for the second panel, I started with the Bellini ink this time, so that orange would repeat and be more prominent for my Halloween card. Next, I used this new shipping tags die. Once again, Julie wins the Clever Award. This die is cover plate sized and it gives you 4 identical tags cut out of one piece of cardstock with minimal wastage. It's perfect for creating multiples. I'm going to use 2 tags on each of my cards. The first ones will be stamped with the same stripe stamp. And you guessed it, the Christmas card will get the red stripe and the Halloween card will get the orange stripe. These 2 tags will have the sentiments on them. For the other 2 tags, I'm using the same colors, but I'm going direct to paper this time so that I can use the solid colored tags as backgrounds or frames for my sentiment tags. This is such a fast and easy way to get colored cardstock that matches your stamping perfectly. The ink does go on a bit darker at first, but it dries over time. Now, an obvious way to differentiate these cards is to choose sentiments that are appropriate for their respective occasions. I chose this bold Trick or Treat sentiment from the new Last Bite sentiment set for my Halloween card. This time I used the full 6x6 plate that comes with the stamp positioner. The movement is the same with those rubbery feet. And although I didn't need to, I stamped it twice so that I could see and show you how well it stamps in the same position, which is really the whole reason to have a stamp positioner. It worked perfectly. Then I moved on to the Christmas card. I chose a sentiment from Retro Holiday Greetings. Notice how even the fonts of these 2 sentiments change the feeling of the cards. The Halloween is rough and jaggedy, and this one is smooth and elegant, with a touch of fun from all those curves. And now here's each tag set with its corresponding background. See how the design is moving apart? The next couple of steps will take them even further away from each other. Now for a little interjection about craft room organization. I store my stamps by manufacturer in these stamp pockets. I trim off the flaps because I find them a bit awkward to deal with, and I figure that the stamps and dies will stay inside. and they do for the most part. I trim down the cards to fit, and I use a color coding system so that within each manufacturer, I can tell the type of set I'm looking for, even when they're all in their little case. So I leave the image sets blank, and I put their coordinating dies in the back of the same pocket. Standalone dies are dark gray. Oh, and by the way, I use the chisel tip of a Copic marker to add the color to each card. Halloween or autumn sets are dark orange. Christmas sets are red, whether they're sentiments or images. Backgrounds are yellow. Floral sets are pink. Sentiment sets are green. And I have a recent addition. I use blue for my leading ladies. So here are all my Ellen Hutson sets. Even if they get mixed up, I can at least narrow down what I'm looking for based on the color coding. I hope you find that helpful. I've done it this way since I started buying clear stamps, and I really like it a lot. So here's another new standalone die set, spider webs. There are 3 webs and a spider with the cutest little wonky eyes. I cut 1 each of the full webs from black cardstock with my Gemini Junior, and I quickly popped out all the negative pieces from each one. I also popped out the little eyes from the spider. Then, to make the webs look a little dusty, I got out my Hero Arts Unicorn White ink pad and I swiped them through it. This is a pigment ink, so it does take a little while to dry, but it adds the perfect amount of spooky to these webs. Now here's how the Halloween card is going to come together. And there's no mistaking it for a Christmas card anymore, is there? For the Christmas card, I colored some sprigs of holly from the Holiday Characters set with Copic markers. I used limited colors for shading since the images are really quite small, but I do find that having good contrast really adds dimension to colored images. For some shine, I added highlights with a white gel pen to the berries. The final difference in these cards is the color of their card bases. I used ebony cardstock for the Halloween card. The classic orange and black color combination really establishes the mood of this card. And for the Christmas card, I used a white card base. This keeps this card feeling happy and light, anything but spooky. So there's a video filled with information and tips, as well as a quick look at some of the newest Essentials by Ellen products. I hope you found it helpful and even inspirational. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up below and subscribe to my channel for more inspiration. Product links are below in the description and also on my blog. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.